with us for a moment. We're going to give like 5 minutes for the ones that had a tough time connecting or finishing their lunch. The recording has started, so everything you say from now on will be for posterity. As you know, nothing goes away on the internet once you've uploaded it.
We're going to leave you, Jamie and I, and we wish you all the best for this session. See you later.
Thanks, Alessandra. Jamie, Rudy, while you're still on here, and for those watching, and especially for those that are members of FinTech Belgium, reach out to Jamie and Alessandra if you want to do this type of event or participate to one of our next innovation pitches. So they're the ones who will follow up on that. So thanks for your preparation. We're gonna swing it from here. And welcome you, Peter and Tim, as last joiners of this session. As said, we can give it a few minutes before we kick off formally. Bart will be the first one pitching, so he's getting his throat ready to be thrown into the arena and to drink a little bit before he goes live. Yeah. So I would say at 20 participants, we're going to kick off. I hope everybody can see the participants. So Yuri van Steen, welcome on board too. There's 2 more persons, and we're going to just start going with the formal part. While you're waiting, please already start activating your camera. You will not by accident end up here, but we wanted to be interactive. Ourselves, FinTech Belgium, we're also discovering how can you make these sort of events which replace the physical events that we're used to make them interactive. And you asking questions live to the pitchers will be part of that. So even if you don't know if you're going to ask a question, just prepare for it. You'll have to raise your hand to be invited on stage later on. And mute your microphone. I saw Yuri just did that. So you can see of all the people who is joining live. It just means that you have activated your camera. You will not be on the stage by accidents. Really hoping that we have 2 more people joining in the next minute, because otherwise I've set this
threshold.
So Joanne, I'm really happy to see you on here too. If you also want to activate your camera, we will. It's just that you will be able to ask questions. Thanks for that, and mute your microphone afterwards. So by now we've learned that people who join need to mute the camera and their mic after joining. So thanks for doing that. And we are 20, and that was our self-set goal. So Emile, thanks for joining us. With your joining our session, we are actually kicking off, I would say, the first demo session, the online demo session that we are organizing. The speakers are already here in your screen. Bart van den Heuvel will kick off by telling us what OneGenie is innovating and bringing in the Belgian ecosystem. Christian van Leeuwen, CTO co-founder of Frizz, will then, together with Cyril Noya, show us what's happening on their side. We have Kevin François from Sagacify, who will enlighten us on the latest in AI and how to bring innovation to the InsurTech and FinTech. And we have Willem Lambrechts from Drabble, who is very well acquainted with what is happening at all the larger players and who will enlighten us with his insights on where the market is going. So the concept here is that everybody gets 10 minutes to do their pitch and 5 minutes of Q&A. And I really hope I'm not going to have to do the Q&A, and that you, via the chat and by raising your hand, can come and ask your questions. So your lunch break is about to get really interesting. And I would say, Bart, the floor is yours. Your 10 minutes are starting now, and I will be the one to kick you out at 1:15. So go ahead. Tell us, what is OneGenie about?
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone also from OneGenie. We are a customer identity and access management platform. And as you know, in today's digital world, customer experience is key. External users want to access your various online portals and apps as easy as possible. At the same time, you want to keep the bad guys out. So you also need to be compliant with the growing number of security regulations. And OneGenie is the company that makes that simple and safe. So we have a couple of use cases prepared for our short demonstration. It will go pretty fast. The first use case is as an insurance agent. You are within the insurance industry, you have insurance agents. I want to invite a customer to create an account using self-service onboarding, which gives you the benefit that you don't need to contact your insurance provider and their service desk with all kinds of calls and emails to create an account. So what you can do within OneGenie you can delegate this user management. So, for example, I can create an account for Francois. What will we? Vermeijen is maybe a nice last name. I have a demo email address, and I have a mobile phone number. And I can give him various access roles. So, for example, I can say this person is a claim manager. I can save his account. And now, as an agent, I've invited a customer to create a digital account. If I go to my mailbox, which I have here, then we need to wait a little bit for the email to come in. Should go a little bit faster in today's world.
That's just to prove it's a real live demo, yeah. So that's where we all go and refresh our inboxes after account creation. But yeah, this is a real demo. So the real delays of the mysterious ways of how mails travel on the internet are now being shown to us.
Yes, exactly. So unfortunately, it takes a little bit of time now to get the email in, which is a pity. I tried this, of course, a couple of times today to prepare for today's meeting. And normally it should be here within a second. So this is a pity. So let me just move on then to the next step and do it a little bit different. So I can go to a portal and I can log in. And I can create an account, for example. And I want to use the English language. And maybe then it's better to use an account with another, probably have this email address. So you get all kinds of password compliance rules, and need to fill in my mobile number and create the account. So now I've just used a different way of creating my account. I wanted to show it through an email notification, but now I've just shown it through creating it with a self-service as a customer online. You see that this particular account has a very low level of trust of assurance because I created it myself and I did not prove who I say I am. So now what I can do, one of the things I can link, for example, my mobile device. And I can link my mobile device for my own dashboard. And you see here on the left side, I have my camera, and I can scan the QR code, which binds my mobile device to my account. So now my mobile device is actually a vector I can use to log in. And now if I enable Face ID, then I can log in to my online services without using a username and password. And you see here that I now have connected my phone as a device to my account. So to prove this particular point, I will go back to my portal. I will log off of the system. So now I'm coming back in a couple of days or a couple of weeks or months or maybe even a year, and depending on how often your customers log in, you want to log in. And now the great thing is you don't need to remember your username and password, which is great because your username and password are, of course, something that you keep forgetting and it gets stolen. It's not secure anymore. So now a second example with the QR code, but this time it's to log in to the service, which I can use over and over and over again. And OneGenie provides you with all these flows for identifying people and logging in to your online portals and systems. So now I've shown how I can bind my device, how I can log in with Face ID and with my device without using a username and password. The last part of my demonstration is actually to show the more technical people in the one small example, which is that if I go to the configuration of my portal, this is the OneGenie Identity Cloud configuration screen, I can say, well, I want to know a little bit better who it is that's actually logging into my services, because maybe there is some personal information. So I put my identity assurance level on 3. So from very low, maybe just creating the account myself, and you don't actually trust that it is me, I put it to 3. So now what happens if I save this in the configuration? So now I'm the person configuring security in the background. So now, if my customer logs in again, so let's go to the login screen. Oh, I need to push it. Let's put it on English. Well, let's use QR. It doesn't really matter how I log into my account. I say confirm. So now I do the same thing as I just did, logging into the portal. In this case, using passwordless login. And unfortunately, this part also did not happen. Let's go to the dashboard. But what would have happened is that you would get a step up identification proofing, which then brings you to scanning your identity with an ID card, which you can then use to, not sure what exactly went wrong in the configuration, but let me show you then one little small other thing, that we have a lot of identity providers that you can use to prove your identity. And this includes also the Belgium one, like It's Me, and the Belgium ID scanning. This brings me to, I think, actually the 10 minutes of the presentation that I got today, which we are very happy with. I'm sorry one or two things didn't go as smooth as I had hoped they would go, but I hope I've been able to give you an introduction of OneGenie. We provide this as a full service, so we take care of the registration screens and the login screens to your online portals and apps towards the highest level of securities for regulated industries.
Well done. Yeah, so this is the question part. First of all, congrats for dying a little bit on stage. All of us who've been there doing live demos. So we had many people who asked, can we do slideshows? And it's a pitch. So we really invite everybody to bring their best live environments. And as we know, in live environments, things can be less smooth than when you prepare them. However, I would like to ask others to raise their hands, to activate their cameras, and we would really love this to be interactive. And because this is the first session and that you were a little bit shorter, which we appreciate, we actually have till 1:20 for you to get questions. And we have Tariq, go ahead, fire your question to Bart.
Good afternoon, Bart. Well, many thanks. Well, we also that there was a little typo in your email address in the first example, so that's why you never received the email. We put it in the chat, many of us, but nobody seems to read it. So anyway, so one question. I mean, imagine I'm a business now, and I would like to have your solution. I mean, how is the integration working? I mean, do you have APIs? Do you have like SDKs? Do we have to use your app, or is it also integrated in our own apps? I mean, can you explain a bit more on that?
Yes, okay, great question, thank you. So we provide the security for both the web portals and the mobile apps. And of course, the integration goes different for web and app. For web, you typically use OpenID Connect, SAML, to connect to a portal. So from the portal, there's a login button, which basically goes to our cloud service. And we take care of the identification and the login and everything and the security. And then we give you a token of the person who is logging into your portal. And if we go to the mobile app, then we communicate with the APIs. So we actually put a security gateway within within the environment that the app talks with. So there we can offer the end-to-end management of the app also. So, for example, if somebody does a brute force PIN code hacking, then they cannot just take the app and try it 1 million times. Every time we go back to the server, and after 3 times we block the account. So this is full level security on both mobile and web. And we have all the open interfaces to integrate with the landscapes of our customers. As you can imagine, all our customers have different backend systems. It can be a Salesforce, or they built it themselves with a Mendix or an OutSystems. And there are many out there. And we have a lot of experience, especially in the financial industry, insurance companies, and Belgium with Baloise, for example, or with pension for PNV, or with banks like NIBC. And we take care of the security for their portals and their apps.
Okay. Thanks.
Tariq, that answers your question?
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions? We have time for one or two more. So if nobody raises or joins us on stage, we have Kevin. Go ahead. I think it looks like that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Yes. He's the next speaker, I think.
And I think, Willem, we don't hear you. You're muted.
It was a mistake. It was my mistake. Sorry, Kevin. My question, Bart, where does your solution differentiate from It's Me, for instance? What's the difference?
Also an excellent question. So It's Me is an identity provider. And so if you integrate your backend with It's Me, then the only thing you have is, you can check the identity of a person, but you still have to maintain the digital identity of your users yourself. And there's a whole digital identity life cycle of, you have to identify them and then give them access over and over again to your environments, but also consent management and integrating it with your backend systems. So the identity store is completely something you do yourself, which is what a lot of customers have today, because that's how everything gets started. You get a portal and you link it with It's Me, and then there's another department that want to have another portal, and then there's another user group, because you also have agents. You not only have customers, and then you have all kinds of the employees also wants to log in. So it becomes a whole mess of homegrown integrations and solutions, and we basically replace that with one solution, one service to take care of that for you. So we take care of the user groups, we take care of the different ways of identifying themselves, because It's Me is only one way. There are multiple ways, also the Belgium ID card, or a liveness check, for example, if somebody is outside of the country. And for you, that makes life a lot easier. You can save a lot of cost. We are focused actually on the user experience. Maybe that's also good to say. When you type the email address correctly, the user experience is very smooth. And that's what companies compete on. If customers can onboard easy, and for them it goes smooth and frictionless, then they stay with you. You attract more customers, you grow your business, and we take care of the security and the compliance requirements for you. So, you avoid going to jail or having to pay some fines. You're not in America, right?
Okay.
Great answers. Maybe one follow-up question on Willem's. You say we also look at one platform to optimize cost. We know that if you use It's Me, it's a paid per user model. The national ID card, to my knowledge, is not. So can you give any numbers on where users go? Do they choose for the convenience of It's Me, or do they still opt for, is there ways for you to steer this, or can you say anything about that?
So from our experience, from our platform, it doesn't matter which one, because we support both and all. So we are not an identity. For identity proofing, we use external identity providers like It's Me. And Baloise uses It's Me for certain user groups and certain portals. So you basically see both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. We have a last question. I think, Emil, go ahead.
Yes. Do you already have customers in Belgium? So insurance companies using it for customer zone, for instance? It's a very specific question. Sorry.
I think the one I can mention easily here right now is Baloise. The Baloise group. They decided for us on group level. So it started actually in Belgium. So a couple of portals and apps in Belgium. And then they moved towards Swiss and Germany, for that matter. So that would be a good insurance example, I think, that uses our platform. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Great. For the sake of the timekeeping, I'm going to close the Q&A here, Bart. But as you know, at the very end of our public session, there are the private rooms that will also be animated by those of you are here. So if you have more questions or want to continue talking about this, you can join Bart there later. I'm going to start inviting the people from FRIS on stage. Christian, you're going to tell us everything about how you offer the best fraud detection and risk assessment software for the insurtechs and insurance industry in general, right? So I would say Cyril Noyer, Christian Van Leeuwen, the floor is yours. You have your 10-minute pitch. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks very much, and welcome everybody. So I'll just kick it off with a short introduction, and then Cyril will give you a hands-on demo. My name is Christian, I'm CTO and co-founder at FRIS, and we started this company with one mission and one mission only, and that is to keep insurance honest. We believe that insurance is a beautiful thing, and we want to keep it honest and affordable for everybody to make sure that we prevent and detect fraud and high risks from entering the books of business. And the proof in that is that last year we were able to save the industry with 1 billion in preventing and detecting fraud. And we're working with customers in more than 40 countries. Also in Belgium, we have customers like Belfius and Allianz, for instance. Now, what we want to show you today and talk about a bit more is that we've seen markets, and especially insurance market, go online and more digital, especially also due to COVID. And in some countries, we even have seen that they end up with combined ratios over 100%. And the process becomes more digital, it's anonymous, and also in that automating the underwriting process is actually the future of selling insurance. And we also see some great examples already in the Belgian market. I think the Belfius app, but also Flora Insure, which is a label that's 100% digital insurer. Independer is launching in Belgium, and many more examples there are in the market. So a lot is happening and really interesting developments. And I think it also ties into a recent study that we've seen in the Intelligent Insurer with over 400 underwriters, where they, like more than 50%, acknowledge that they see the benefits also to detect fraud at underwriting more. And working with customers in that space, we have a lot of almost half of our customers use our products also in underwriting. We see that we really can contribute in this space in questions like, can I do business with this person or this company? Is this actually the person that is now applying for insurance? And the second question, of course, is, do I want to do business with this person or this company? Is it going to be profitable, or am I going to lose money on this? And one of the challenges that we see a lot, also in a study that we did on our own, is that data quality is an issue in a lot of the cases to do this in real time and online, but also privacy and data protection is something to really dive into. And next to that, the access to external data, that's growing heavily. And we've all solved a lot of these issues in the platform. That's what Cyril is also going to show you now, to really automate and support the business in these online channels with a lot of pre-integrated data sources that we already have in the platform. Cyril, I want to hand it over to you to show us 2 use cases, and then we are up for some questions, of course.
Yes, thank you very much, Christian. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about the free score that is actually adding value for the insurers. The free score is actually a transparent view of the risk during your underwriting process. The free score will prevent you actually from doing business with fraudster, and that is something that you would like. So it is fully integrated in your digital underwriting journey, and it will support you in your real-time decision making. So I will show you how Freeze helps you doing that in a unified platform that will support you from the underwriting process until the claims management and later to the investigation. So today I'm going to show you two things you would like to avoid. The first one is making business with a fraudster, obviously. And the second one is ghost broking. Ghost broking, that is to say, the fact that professional fraudsters are selling invalid policies to unsuspecting consumers. So I will show you that in detail in this example. So as you can see in this example, the free score is 380, and it's in a red box, which means that actually you've got an alert. Otherwise, it would be in a green box. And as I mentioned earlier, the free score is fully transparent, and the idea is really to give you all the explanation that goes with it. So scrolling down on my screen, I can see the detail, the split of my score that has been built regarding this process. That could be an underwriting process or a claims process. So the split is actually because Freeze is using an hybrid approach. That means that we use in parallel several models and we combine them to build a final score. If I do the sum of all the value in the split, I will reach out to my 380 score. The first model we are using is the business rules. Freeze has a very powerful business engine, rules engine that will help you to apply all the rules. We are coming with hundreds of available rules, and you have also the possibility to fine-tune the existing rules or to add your own rules directly within the system. The second model we're using in parallel is the text mining. So this one is actually using quite powerful neural network algorithms to detect either keywords or patterns of words within the statements or the notes of the claim or the underwriting process, so that you are able to detect any suspicious association of word, and we can detect with that probability of fraud or risk, and then you are able to act upon that. The next method is an AI predictive model. So, as you know, let me just refresh the screen, sorry. As you know, AI usually is like a black box, and it's quite hard for a business profile to understand what is in the model actually. You know that something has been triggered, you know that you've got a high probability of risk or fraud, but you don't have the explanation, which is quite hard for the business profile to understand. And even for that, Freeze is offering you a visualizer that will give you an overview on the main data elements that had an impact in your model. So actually, we try to give the business an explanation on this AI part that usually is quite hard to understand. In this example, for instance, we can see that the fact that the policy holder had many claims in the past had a huge impact and was very impactful actually in the fact that the model has been triggered. So this is the main data element. And you can see the 4 others as well that have contributed to this trigger on the model. Finally, the last method I wanted to mention to you this morning is the network analysis. So Freeze has a very powerful entity resolution and detection of risk in the network. We're able actually to use all data elements that you've got in your claim process or in your underwriting process to link them by any way, such as identity or names or address, emails, and so on. And the idea here is to highlight any potential risk. As you can see, Freeze has highlighted in red a link that brings you from our screening that is with the blue circle until a box that is here, and that is the NICB registry. The NICB is the National Insurance Crime Bureau in the United States. This is basically the equivalent of the RSR in Belgium. And the idea here is that somebody that is related to our process is actually registered as a fraudster in this database. So we could detect the risk and prevent you from doing business with somebody who could potentially be a fraudster. This is my first promise I made at the beginning. But obviously, doing that and seeing these results, you would like to investigate. So what I propose to you is to do that and to start investigate on this network. And FRIS is actually offering you as well many tools and many elements in the unified platform that will help you to do this investigation. So as you can see, I can increase my network and start to investigate on this one. Starting from my claim, I can see back the red path that is leading me to the potential fraudster that is here. As you can see on this network, I've got many shapes. Each type of shape has a meaning. It's a kind of entity. For instance, in green, you can see the people, in red, the cars, in orange, the claims, in purple, the policies, and so on. And the idea is really to link all these elements together and to see if we have any suspicious pattern to something you would like to avoid. So we've got back our fraudster that was here and that is already registered, so you know you will not do business with him. But there is something else I wanted to show you on this network, and it's just actually below. As you can see, in this example, I have 2 persons in my database who are using actually similar email address, similar addresses, similar phone numbers, and so on. And this is something that is actually very suspicious. This is something you would like to avoid, because actually this is ghost broking. As I said at the beginning, ghost broking is the fact of selling invalid policies to unsuspecting consumers, and it's usually organized by professional fraudsters. What they do actually in this case is they are subscribing a single policy and they resell it to several people. And to do that, they are using similar and identical key contact information between the two consumers, so that they will manage to commit their fraud. Usually, the final consumer is not aware and think they've got their own policy. So as you can see here, actually, it was not the case. And once again, with FRIS, you were able to detect this scenario. These 2 scenarios I have shown today, how to avoid to make business with fraudster or how to avoid ghost broking, are actually 2 scenarios among a huge library that we are proposing within our unified platform. And now I would like to invite you to go on a website because we are proposing a lot of use case and blogs that could be interesting. So and everything is detailed on fris.com. I will just conclude my presentation by saying you that we really like challenges at FRIS. So if ever you have got in your portfolio any suspicious case that you can't solve by yourself, we would be very happy to solve it and just bring it to us. We will be available and very happy to do that. Thank you very much for your attention and have a nice end of day.
You're on mute, Tom.
Muted. That they're trying to unmute me and I was doing the same. So there's a bit of double clicking going on here. But so thanks a lot for that great demo. Questions about the graph, about anti-fraud, people from the insurance industry that must be interested to know more about this. Go ahead, invite yourself, raise your hands, activate your camera. I see a lot of people haven't done that yet. So if you plan to ask questions or want to interact, please activate your camera. If I see nobody coming on stage in the next minute, yeah, Willem, you're the speaker. You're not supposed to be the main question. Go ahead. You get one question to them too.
Hi, Christian. Hi, Cyril. Thank you very much. It's very interesting. I'm just very curious to learn where you got the data from which you used to train your algorithms. Was it from just one insurance company, or did you gather it from multiple companies?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. And the data that we use usually comes from one insurance company. We cannot mix the data together, so that is not allowed. And even in some countries where we support a national claims pool or a national fraud pool, then there is a separate protocol in place where insurers together can share that data. and we can do that for them in the platform, but that's only when they allow us to do that. In the normal setup for one insurer, that's their own data, and we take our learnings and the fraud scenarios that we have in the platform, and these are tuned on the data of that specific insurer. And we enrich that with a lot of external data, which makes it a lot more powerful to see what is, let's say, the patterns and also if the data that is delivered, if the persons are actually the persons that are in this claim or in this policy, for instance.
Thank you.
Thanks for that answer. For the sake of time, and as you can read in the chat, we do have the sessions afterwards where you can ask more questions as of 2:10 past 2. Thanks for this demo. We're going to move on, not to create any, I would say, further delay. Kevin, you're already on here. You're going to tell us and pitch what Sagacify has to share with our audience looking for innovation. So Sagacify has been offering AI services for a long time in the Belgian fintech community, and you're going to tell us about Squiz. Go ahead. 10 minutes start now.
Thank you very much, Toon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin François. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sagacify, which is an AI solution development company behind the product Squiz. So to give you a little bit of context, I'm going to talk here to bankers, to insurers, to lawyers, and to accountants in the room, because I think that you are most likely under pressure to reduce operational costs and also to increase customer satisfactions. The problem is, how can you increase the speed of a service, the quality of the delivery to your customers, while reducing the operational costs when most of your business processes are bounded by documents? And a lot of documents that most of the time have to be treated by armies of people to treat it manually. And so as a technological company focused on innovation and AI, this is something that we could not let happen anymore. So we've been consulting with our prospecting customer over the past 2 years, and we came up with a solution that I'm going to present now. And what I'm going to talk about here is not a small problem. So like automating the treatment of documents. If we look at the invoice market alone, there is more than 1 billion invoice exchange per year in Belgium. So I'll let you imagine the amount of time it takes to manage the time it takes to process all those documents. But there isn't only invoices. You've got bank statements, payslips, receipts, administration forms, European accident forms, packaging lists, and so forth. So like hundreds of different document types that still require manual work, manual treatment today. And also companies, last statistic here, a statistic says that more than 80% of the data that's being owned by a company is captured within unstructured document that people still have to treat manually. So, but despite also the hugeness of this market, most companies are still treating their documents by hand or relying on unsatisfactory solutions like RPA solutions or the similar traditional solutions. So to summarize, manual data or manual document processing is perceived as being slow, costly, prone to errors, also a source of demotivation for employees, and mainly the young generation. So at Sagacify, we built the solution called Squiz, which is an AI-based solution to automate the processing of documents automatically, based on self-learning solution, based on AI solution, and so without the need to define roles, keywords, and templates. So in a nutshell, this is what the typical document processing pipeline of Squiz look like. On the left-hand side, you've got the source and the document intake. We can connect to your email system. We can connect through APIs directly through the Squiz app, but we can also be connected to ERP systems like SAP or to our PA system like UiPath and so forth. And so once the documents are being sourced, we start by pre-processing them, cleaning them, resizing them, rotating them to make sure that we're going to get a good result, sending it through an OCR to extract word bounding boxes from the documents. We also work with partners for what's called ICR, so intelligent handwritten character recognition, because we find that the solution in the cloud today are not satisfactory. And so within the toolbox, we've got a splitting feature. So let's say that you are ingesting PDF documents that contain multiple documents inside. We're going to be able to automatically detect where to cut this file into multiple unique documents. Then those documents will be categorized into any sorts of class that you will want to define yourselves. And for each of these document types, for example, invoice or receipt, then we can train Squiz to extract specific data, what we call structured field, but also more complex structures like tables, line items, VAT, split VAT summary boxes, and so forth. So there's no limit to what kind of structured or semi-structured data we can extract. And then for some of the documents that would not have met the requirements in terms of confidence level, they are being pushed into what we call a validation or review user interface to let people make sure that the automated the data extracted was the right one. And then we send that back to the system of your liking. So Squiz comes out of the box with the support with some documents like invoices, receipts, bank statement, payslips, European accident forms, and so forth. But if you need to automate more than these documents and specific document for you, we can also take care of training the Squiz system on your specific documents. And we've got a methodology that's pretty fast and that doesn't require long effort and duration of the project on our side, based on some also advanced AI technologies, obviously, that I'm super happy to disclose in the Q&As. Last slide before I show the demo. In terms of the operational mode, very briefly, documents are being pushed into the Squiz system. Most of the time, the system will predict and will automate the treatment of those documents with a high level of confidence. And so this document will be, the data and the processing will be automatically done and extracted. And that's called straight-through processing. But for some of them, the confidence level will not be high enough or will not meet the threshold, and then it will be pushed into the user interface that I'm going to show you during the demo. And also every validation being done at that stage or correction eventually being done by the operator will be also used as a feedback loop to further train the system. So this is an online training system. So every time that there is a correction, the system learns from it and improves. And of course, there is a whole bunch of different environments like a monitoring dashboard to make sure that all the operations are running smoothly. So this is a demo environment. So, I'm going to use the excuse of this to say that it's very slow and it's not like that in production, which actually is the case. But it's not the production version that contains the monitoring dashboards and the pending pipeline, the pending queue of document review and so on. It's just something that we give to our customers so that they can try the Squiz system on their own documents, for example. And if it doesn't load, voila, there you go. So here what you see is that I just uploaded an invoice. It has been recognized as such. It's it's in French language. It's also not a credit note. So here you can see some examples of document classification working here. And then you've got all the structured field that I'm expecting to extract from that document, like an invoice number, like the issue date, the due date, all the total amount, which is the sum of the excluding tax amount and the total tax, and the structured communication, and so forth. You can see here on the warning signs, basically they are telling you that the automated decision didn't meet the confidence level thresholds. Here, for example, language is indeed French. For some reason, here the system was only sure at 79%. We can go ahead and say, yes, validate, it's true, you were right. PO number. There is no PO number that has been detected because there is simply none, and we were expecting it. So what I can also do here is to go ahead and click on something that I might think is a PO number. They said that this company is using this as a PO number, and I can validate the information. Here also, the date is correct, and I can just validate that the fact is right. So you get the idea. There's also some lines here in this invoice. So you can see that we also detect line items, those 2 lines in the columns, and you can see here that the description has been correctly recognized with 100% confidence as the description column. There is also another column here called period, which doesn't correspond to anything that I'm expecting to extract. And so voilà, there is just no naming. We're just copying and pasting the name of the column. And you've got the total excluding tax column, which is correct. So I can validate it's correct. And it also shows a different breakdown of the sum. Once I'm happy with it, I can validate the documents. There's still some warning sign, but I can just go ahead. And this demo example is done for this document. Normally now what you click in the production environment, when you click on validate, you're being shown the next document that is pending for review. And I've got other examples of different documents. This is also an invoice, but it works just the same. This is an example with a receipt. We show that here we detected that it was indeed a receipt. It's in Dutch. It's from Belgium. And there's also the expense type. Here's fuel. So it's interesting that for the document type receipt, we've configured the system to recognize about 30 different categories of expenses for a particular customer. And so it's correctly recognizing the right one. We're supporting about 10 languages out of the box. And again, here, the amount of structured field that we had to extract is lower because it's a receipt. We're also able we're also validating that once we map a VAT number, we also make sure that it's an entity that exists within the country and also being able to extract then attached information from it. Voilà, this is an example received in German, that it works just the same. In terms of customers, we've already about 10 customers. We're processing about 5 million documents per year. It's running production it's running very on production, and we're increasing the number of document types that we're supporting out of the box every day. So voilà, I think that closes. I don't know how much time I still have, but that pretty much closes the demo. And so I'm super happy to get your feedback to see if it's something that would be of interest for you, and just get your feedback from what we've built and what we could potentially build.
Before I ask this question, we have Koen Vingerhoets who also asked the question: which languages are supported? It's in the chat, so you can also get it from there. But is it feasible to compare manual input data with data on the documents, and how secure is it for the PII GDPR perspective? How is it stored for training, and how do you strip that? So a lot of questions here, but maybe if you can handle them in that order. Which languages are supported?
So I don't have the list here. This is something that I can send, but most of the 10 widely used languages in Europe are supported, and we're working in the Chinese also.
Oh wow, that's a big market. So you're not.
That's another step, yeah.
Good. And then the question on the privacy: how do you deal with the PII? Because you're recognizing a lot of entities in those documents, private customers of companies. Well, what goes in, what stays in the platform? Can you say more about that?
Yeah, there is with special partnerships with some customers with which they agree on sharing their data with us, so that we could train the models. But for most of our customers, it's like there's a Chinese wall. So we're going to build an instance of the Squiz infrastructure for them, and all data is going to be confined within their own environments. And so we've obviously compliant as far as GDPR is concerned.
So it becomes part of their infrastructure. It's not a SaaS where everything is pulled into your platform. You deliver it as an instance for the classification with rules internally.
Well, the preferred way of working is indeed as a SaaS model. So they use the pre-existing, the pre-trained models. The only thing that's specific to them is that whenever they all correct the system and the system will have to learn from it, this specific part will be for them. So we deliver out of the box model, and they can fine tune it for their preferences, their specific structured field that they want to extract, or particular cases.
Okay.
And when it's a fully custom model, then it's for them and it's on their own infrastructure.
I'm pretty sure Koen Wiggenhuis will join you afterwards. He has many more questions, but Tariq, you have the 1 minute to ask the question and Kevin to respond, and then we move to the next speaker. So go ahead, Tariq.
Thanks. A really nice product. In terms of AI, I mean, I see that you already check also the VAT number. You compare it to the VIS, I imagine. I mean,
Yes.
can you extend that features, for example, to check that the logo looks like a fake or real logo, that the quality of the language is really bad, you know, for fake invoices? I mean, do you do that as well, or is it?
Yeah. Yes, for some customers we do that. We also go and look at we find websites on the invoice or the receipts, and then we use that to cross-check that the brand is the same, the logo is the same. We can get more information from that. So yes, we enrich. I mean, we enrich from what we extract. We extract what we can get, but we use third parties connections, and also we go scrape the websites to make sure that by cross-checking information, it's the correct one.
Okay, so you're going to have to ask fraud detection to the USPs of the platform. And there was already a lot in there, but so this is one of the business cases.
Yeah. Indeed.
On the business model after, if you have a minute. On the business model, Kevin, after. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a volume-based pricing.
Okay, we'll for those that want a quote, we'll direct them with pleasure to you, and they can also follow up. First of all, check on your website, and secondly, join the sessions at 2:10, where they can ask further questions. So I'm going to start inviting Willem from Drebel on here for the last pitch that we will be having now. So Willem, yeah, you've been asking 2 questions, and this time around, we'll have to prepare their own questions for you.
Yes.
We will not help you out with those. So go ahead. You have 10 minutes now. You're the last speaker here to close this.
Yeah, thank you very much, Toon. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. And before I start, I'm going to show an article in the newspaper of today. Bank Delen koopt Belgisch fintech-bedrijf Swanest. I'll tell you more about it when I'm sharing my slides.
And it's nice that you can share both the offline paper news industry with the online digital innovation event. So thanks for preparing that one for us. So we like the hybrid models too. Okay, we look forward to this presentation. Go ahead.
Here we go. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, Treble is, I think, known. In the meantime, we celebrate in August, our 10th anniversary. Our mission has been from the beginning generating cash for fintechs.
Even before they were called fintechs, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have clients in 4 continents. We are 6 people today and generating multi-million every year for our clients. So what we conduct is market research, leads, and opportunity generation, prospection, and obviously sales. But something is coming very soon, and that's what I want to talk to you about. The new venture that we're working on is the Birsa FinTech market, which we intend to become what I call the Forum Digitalum Romanum for the European FinTech ecosystem. And these are the people who are involved. It's Gabriella, my partner in crime for the last 10 years with Rebel. It's Matthias, who joined us earlier this year, myself, and then we are advised by Fabian van den Vreed, Juri van der Stappen, and Sophie Fleur de Waele, also 3 veterans in the FinTech, in the Belgian FinTech. What's the problem? And now I got back to the article in the newspaper today. It's about 2 years ago that in our daily talks to fintechs and all the people in the ecosystem, we were invited by a big Belgian investment firm who wanted to talk to us about fintechs, which they saw as a big opportunity in the market for investments, but they had a problem. And that's this problem: how to find the worthy trees in this forest of fintechs in the landscape. A bit later, a few weeks later on, we were approached by a fintech who were looking at the VC landscape and were facing a very similar issue. And what we also learned is that trying to match the two, it was a hell of a lot of a job. We, of course, verified that with other investors and other fintechs, and we all recognized that the the process from a first introduction up to and including a deal is quite lengthy and costly exercise. And moreover, the 80-20 rule is very, very applicable in this domain as well. 80% of the money probably goes to only 20% or even less of the fintechs, and all the rest have an issue finding the funding for all the nice developments. And last but not least, once a deal has been done, you try and get rid of your shares if you're an investor, or if you're a fintech and you're not really happy with your investor. It's a big deal as well. It's not easy. The liquidity is almost zero. So we thought we need to do something about it. And what can we do about it? Not so much initially, we thought. We tried it working as a broker in a very traditional way, but we just experienced how difficult it was, and then we looked at technology. And the first change or recent development in the technology that we discovered is the so-called data centricity. I think most of the people on this call are very much aware about data, how precious it is, but also how difficult it is to get it together and to get it ready for consumption in whatever way. New technologies solve that issue. And that, of course, leads to another technology that is becoming a hype, as we've heard already earlier this afternoon as well. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all very well, excellent use cases as long as the data is correct and up to date. And then, of course, last but not least, development is the disintermediation in the finance sector, and particularly, of course, in the fintech domain. It's the use of the blockchain, the existence of the blockchain, which is also evolving very, very rapidly. So that brings us to how we see the fintech market. We identified 4 groups of participants, one being the industry bodies, typically non-profit organizations such as Fintech Belgium. We identified vendors and service providers, all those people that sell products and services to fintechs and investors. There's, of course, the startups themselves, the fintechs, and there's the investor community, which we see mainly as a professional community today, VCs, funds, family offices, and so on. In the middle, we use a data fabric, the new data technology that allows us to do what we want to do. And based on that data, we can provide data analytics, we can organize matchmaking, and we can organize the market itself. With, of course, as it is an ecosystem, as it's a marketplace, then you expect a lot of communications to go through the marketplace, people exchanging pitches, data, due diligence, you name them, across the market. And last but not least, when there is a deal, you want it to happen, and therefore the latest development in blockchain technology, the security token or the security STO platform technology, if you like, is the perfect solution for that. This is how we see the website or the platform will look like. You will have a free zone where you can register and get access to some free content. If you go a bit further, you can profile yourself, you can get proper data and analytics, communications, and everything you need to do to go through the investment or the fundraising process. And then last but not least, once that's been done and there is a possibility for a deal, you can launch your own security token on the platform through, of course, KYC, proper KYC process. The roadmap, very quickly, we are at the moment building the MVP. We have the advisory board. We have a feasibility study conducted successfully. The company is being founded as I speak, together with the MVP development. We expect most contracts with technology partners which have been selected to be signed in the next 2 months. And we will start by launching our own STO first to go through the whole process before setting it up and opening up for other fintechs to raise money in the same way. The market will be set up in Luxembourg for the simple reason that in Luxembourg the full regulatory framework is in place and everything can be done perfectly compliant with all necessary rules and regulations. The real market is supposed to be launched, complete market, at the beginning of next year. Our mission, to repeat it, is to unite the whole European fintech ecosystem on one single market infrastructure. The main words here are provide a trusted and transparent marketplace. We ourselves will be a leader and a front runner. And as I said, we wanted to be the Forum Digitalum Romanum, looking at the Forum Romanum in the early days of the 1st century. We had a feasibility study conducted by 2140 Consulting, a specialized firm. They looked at the project and declared it viable. They did some research in terms of market participants, and they also checked the whole legal framework assessment, and we got the box checked. So what is new that we present to you, first of all, we will have a European fintech focus. That is absolutely new today. It will be one market for the whole fintech ecosystem. We have a vertical all-in-one approach, going from discovery, research, over outreach to matching, and finally the deal as well, in one and same platform. We are assembling the best fit for purpose technologies. We have chosen to go for a regulated market, for a no-code environment in terms of data, a built-for-purpose blockchain. So it is a blockchain which has been developed for the purpose of issuing and transacting securities. And yeah, it is STO, security token offering specialized. And finally, but certainly not lastly, it allows private equity to get digital and liquid. So the conclusion. This is a very famous guy that I never heard of, Matt Mullenweg, who said, technology is best when it brings people together. And I found another one, namely myself, who changed it a little bit. And I say, people are best when they bring technology together. And that is what we try and do with Birsa FinTech Market. Thank you very much, and open for your questions.
Okay, for those who don't know, Matt Mullenweg was a founder, creator of WordPress, which is the most popular blog still today, and also used for e-commerce. But that's for the if you ever want to win that answer, that's the one you're going to do. The recording will soon stop, but we will continue. So for those who see the warning, just ignore it. We have 5 minutes of questions, and we had a first question in the chat. Any reason why you stick to fintechs and don't use the matchmaking for any startup scale-up?
Excellent question, and indeed it's something we asked ourselves in the beginning, and we chose to go for fintech for two reasons. Why fintech today is the market where most is happening in terms of investments, and two, it's a market that we know very well. We've been walking around in this marketplace for 10 years now. We know it very well, and we are indeed aware that the whole setup is perfectly scalable, and it makes a lot of sense to once it's working for fintech, then it will work for other industries as well. But we have chosen to focus rather than going very broad. Okay,
other people who want to ask a live question, activate your camera, raise your hands to get on stage, and then our team will put you on here. I'm waiting for that to happen. If not, you can, if technically you don't want to get your live input here, you can use the chat to give your text input, which will work too. We have 5 more minutes, and then we're going to move into the rooms where you can continue questioning and interacting with the speakers. And Kevin, haha, you're returning to favor Willem, right? Ask a tough question, please.
Thank you. I'm curious, what is the blockchain technology going to be used in your model? Exactly. Can you precise?
Yes. What will actually happen on the blockchain, and the blockchain that we will use is not Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's a new one which is being tested now. It's developed for purpose. It's called Polymesh. What will happen on the blockchain is really the transaction. First of all, the smart contract. So all the privileges linked to ownership of tokens, and a token equals a share in the company. So it contains voting rights, it contains dividends, it contains part of profit when there's an exit and so forth. So it's really the real life traditional private equity which is turned digital on a fit for purpose blockchain.
Okay, very clear. Thank you very much. You're in mute, Toon.
Yes, thanks for that, Kevin. We have Koen Vingerhoeds, who also, I know he's a big, was one of the trailblazers when it comes to everything crypto related. So he might want to give a question or a remark on why this is emerging now and how come we've had to wait so long for platforms like these to arise. So Koen, if you want to join us, feel free. You can also limit it to the comments. I look forward to your opinion on this because I take you as one of the Belgian experts when it comes to crypto-related platforms. If you don't make it on here, we're going to ask others to join. So if you have a question, this is your moment to either go to the chat or raise your hand, and then we will put you on there. And as Alessandra said, you need to raise your hand if you want to join us. If not, I have a question about the name, the company name. It's going to be a hard one to remember. So why did you choose this one?
That's an excellent question too. And you may have learned in your history lessons that in the 15th century, Persia was a center of trade in Europe.
Yes.
Where the Italian, Nordic, English, you name them, traders came together. Yeah. And they had to deal with different currencies. So they created a first financial market in a pub, which was owned by a family called Van der Beursa. Van der Beursen, and the word beurs has been derived from Beursa. So we went back to the roots and called it Beursa.
We like the history. So we had a newspaper, we have a Roman 1st century baseline, and we now know that your name is from the Hansan cities and the early city. Okay, good. I like the way you cover this. Good. We can see your long hair, so that's great. And now we see your beard too. So enlighten us with your comments when you hear this. What do you think about this?
Well, I really like the idea. To be fair, it's I think a good step forward, taking into account indeed late developments or the latest developments in blockchain. The why only now, which is a question you asked, Tony, if I remember well.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, there is no legal regulation for such an offering in Belgium apart from the existing regulation. Yes. So the message is at the moment just look whatever is in the law and apply it, but it's not that straightforward. So I'm very happy that that this initiative is taken, and I hope that that it will run very well. It's also a good idea to first build experience and then use this experience to reuse it for other fintechs. No, I really hope.
And upon a technology choice, I guess you know the platform that was chosen or the technology block.
I had to look it up.
Okay.
I had a call with Willem a few days ago.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's a small world after all at all.
Yeah, okay.
So I looked it up, and it's indeed fit for purpose. It's derived from one of the better blockchains, I think. And it really aims to facilitate security exchanges, to be able to offer a secondary market, basically to tackle all the issues mentioned before, of which the liquidity is, I think, one of the major concerns for a VC to actually fund. You will be, it will be carved in concrete for years.
Okay.
You can't just move your funds along, but what if you could split it up? What if you could split your tokens if required? If you can make them liquid again, I think it's a huge advantage. And the ledger selected is actually one of the best things to do there. There's a lot of things already present in the ledger that don't have to be coded anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's going to speed up the development.
Okay, well, it's good to know you did the homework we didn't have to do, and we take your excellent opinion that Willem chose a good technology-proof ledger there. So with everything happening in crypto, we're going to end on that positive note here, and I'm going to invite everybody, speakers, go through the portal and join your rooms, and the attendees, you have to go back to the agenda, and then you can select the room you would like to spend the rest of the time that you have now to exchange with our speakers. So big thanks to everybody. Look at our agenda. We have extra events coming up in June and September, if I'm not mistaken, but you can see that on our page of these demos, and start joining through the agenda, the group of your choice. So Koen, Willem, thanks for sharing your insights here, and good luck.
Thank you, Koen.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you at the next events.